I want this forever, just you in the grotto, with nothing but your nights on. We keep all the lights on, same again tomorrow.
I don't know if I have like good juju or something, but I interviewed Dea when she first came onto the scene, and now look at her.
Yeah, man.
Interviewed, who else was it? Max.
Yeah.
Max. I don't know how that guy does it, Max, man, because he's like literally, I mean, I look at his tour and he's always adding dates, and he has not stopped.
Yeah, Max doesn't stop, dude. He's a tiny little ball of energy, that guy, dude.
And that's the thing, like in his stage presence, it's like he's jumping off of like rafters.
Yeah, he does not hold anything back, man. And to see people like that, like perform that hard, and just it makes me even more excited to do it. He's so energetic.
How'd you two link up?
He was working with a producer that I work with, and my buddy Aaron Z, who just released the new like Quinn XIX, and he had Phoebe Ryan, called Middle Finger, that just like came out today. But he invited me to the session to work with Max because he thought that we would work well together, and we did. Obviously, we like hit it off right away. I knew he was just like an artist. I could just tell immediately. There's people that you could tell are singers, you know, and then there's people that are clearly artists and like take part in their career and what they write and everything like that. And we wrote this song together in like one day.
What do you consider you? I mean, it's like, because I listened to, obviously, Drew Barrymore is the record you're promoting now, which, by the way, is phenomenal. Thank you, by the way, for listening to me last night on the show. I saw your Instagram.
Thank you for dude. That was insane. Like, and I was honestly doing I was gonna do a different little shtick on my Instagram story, and then it came on, and I heard it in the background. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. What are the odds? Because we had heard it once already. Dude, thank you, man.
Well, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. I mean, but going back to just like, you know, we define people by like, you know, this is a pop artist, this is a hip hop artist. I've listened to Drew Barrymore, love the song, love the hook, love everything about it. But then there's a song called oh man, I'm trying to think.
Just tell me how it goes.
It's well, there's a rock beat behind it. It's called the Thug song, I believe.
Oh yeah,
dude. I mean, that takes talent to take a rock beat, you know, and rap over it. I mean, what are you defined as far as a format? I mean, because we're playing you on a pop station, but I mean, you could be pop, you could be hip hop, hell, you could be alt rock if you really wanted to. Tough question. I'm sorry.
No, man, like, I read a lot. I'll start there. I read a lot about a lot of different subjects, and like from sci-fi to autobiographies. And what that has helped me do more than anything besides extend my vocabulary is forget about limitations, because writers have none. They can write about anything all the time. There is no subject that is too taboo for any writer, and music is the same way. And there's no like, I wouldn't know what to call somebody like Michael Crichton, who writes science fiction, who also writes his own stories about his own life, and the extent of which he can write is limitless. So I just think of it that way when I'm writing songs. I just listen to as much as I can and find as many artists that I like, listen to things like Fela Kuti, and then listen to things like Rancid, and then I try to figure out what it would sound like if they came together to make a song. So I don't really think about writing in a genre. I don't think about if I need to stick to rapping or if I need to stick to a song that sounds like Drew Barrymore. I just want the song to be good as the medium, and to be something that I don't think anyone else would have thought of.
When did you get this urge, this knack to start writing for songs?
I just grew up thinking that, man. As soon as I knew I wanted to do music, I was like 13 years old, so it was early, you know, and I knew right away. I was like, if you want to be an artist, you have to write your own songs. I didn't know there was an alternative.
Right.
You know, I just assumed that you had to learn how to play an instrument so that you had a tool to write songs with. So I taught myself.
Guitar, right?
Yeah. Taught myself to play guitar. My mom got me one for my 13th birthday.
You taught yourself to play guitar?
Yeah. I mean, for the first year, probably, you know, I just like looked at tabs and figured out Third Eye Blind songs and Green Day songs and stuff that was like a lot easier to play because it was just power chords, you know. And then I fell in love with punk music, so it was like, all right, cool. There was like an attitude
Blink-182
to that. Yeah,
type.
Blink, Rancid, Transplants, Operation Ivy. And then when I got to high school, I was like the only black kid that knew any of these bands.
Right.
So I met my guitarist in my punk band in high school in my theater class, and he had like this mohawk and he had like the patches on his jacket, and he was just shocked to meet a kid that, you know, had, I think I had braces at the time, whatever. I did not look like somebody that should know who Rancid was and, you know, by any means know all their songs. And so we started a band together. We had a little lesbian drummer and a stoner surfer bassist. And
You still keep in touch with all these people?
dude, I just got back from Vegas with
Yeah.
all of them for the drummer, her lesbian bachelorette party.
Nice.
And yeah, I left the day was done with tour. I flew straight to Vegas to meet them all, the whole band to celebrate. Yeah, so
So you went from tour to Vegas to Charlotte yesterday to Greenville today
yeah,
to hopefully a nap later.
I haven't been home more than 2 days, I think, since maybe January.
Is home still in New York City?
Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah, I live
You're
in LA. I
born
live in
in
Hollywood.
New York, though, right?
Yeah, born in New York. I grew up pretty much in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So.
What borough in New York?
I was born in Manhattan. I was born in the Upper West. No, not Upper West. Lower East Side.
Okay.
My mom's apartment was on Columbus and I don't even know.
You're going to have people
I wouldn't
stalking
know
you now,
anymore.
you know, taking
They
photos
get
outside
that.
your
Go
old
find
house.
my mom's old apartment. I'll guarantee you it's not there anymore. And they don't hold tight to buildings in Manhattan these days.
Boy, if you're a realtor in New York City, you're doing well for yourself, especially in today's day and age.
Or any big city. But yeah, I was born in my mom's apartment.
What? Nice.
Yeah, I was born at
Okay.
home.
No hospital. Straight in the hospital.
She wanted to have a home birth, and
What
she
was
did it.
why the transition from New York City to L.A.?
Because both my parents, their businesses, you know, were on the West Coast. Like my mom was an actress, and she went from being on Star Search to being a extremely struggling actress in LA, like to the point where, like, my uncle, we would stay with my uncle sometimes, and he would like bring us groceries. Like, she lived in a basement apartment in LA, and I was too young to really give a crap about what that meant.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't understand what being poor or rich was. So we just, like, me and my mom just watched Disney movies and hung out and went on, like, as soon as she, I remember the day that things changed for her because she got a part on a soap opera.
Which one?
Passions, it was
Okay.
called. It's not on anymore.
All right.
But she was on it for 10 years. And she had been driving around the same Honda Accord for like 5 years with no insurance. And I came home from school one day and she had like a new Land Rover. And I was like, okay, something has changed here. And she did, yeah.
The
she, like,
W-2
changed
has
our
gotten
lives.
bigger.
Huh?
The W-2 got bigger.
Yeah, man. She changed our lives. And she was always like a mom first no matter what and stayed that way. So, but then I went from that to growing up kind of on the set and watching all that happen and like understanding
born
lighting
around it.
and I was around it all the time. That's why I know what I'm doing when I'm on a set and how to act and how shots should be set up just from watching growing up.
Do you take that, and I don't know if you play into this in like your music videos like Drew Barrymore, or you sing the song Drew Barrymore, but are you also involved in the behind the scenes on music videos?
Oh yeah, everything.
Yes.
Yeah, it's almost to like a fault because I have the vision in my head of what I want something to look like. And you have to kind of depend on the person that you're trusting to direct it and the DP to get it there.
Yeah.
But then you realize they have their own vision, and then you realize it's not going to look anything like what you intended, and then you still have to figure out how to make it look good. Yeah, I'm involved in every single part of, even as far down to the artwork that we post on Spotify. I have my cousin do now. So
Going back to your childhood, I mean, you talk about how you basically grew up almost poor, I guess, or struggling.
yeah.
Does that make you respect money a little more? I mean, now that you're where you are, you're making you're
My
making,
mom was always frugal. My dad is too. I mean, they never. I still don't know how much money my dad has actually because they have black appreciation for money, which is a different thing because we haven't had it as long.
Right.
Like my dad grew up in New York in the 80s, and his dad grew up in New York in the 60s and 70s and 50s, and like where it was even hard for him to get a job. So you had no choice but to be frugal, you know, and they just like kind of passed that down to me. I just don't spend a lot of money.
Well, in the 70s in Manhattan, it was totally different than the Manhattan we know of today.
Course,
I mean, I'm from New Jersey, so like I go up there, you know.
My mom's from Inglewood.
Okay, I'm from Washington Township, so I'm South Jersey near Philly.
No kidding.
Yeah, but I mean, and it was the same thing for me. Like, you know, and not saying that I make a ton of money in radio, trust me, but you know, going from like Camden County, Jersey, where it's, you know, you hear gunshots every day, you know, in the middle of the afternoon.
Camden. Oh yeah, I've been to Camden.
So, yeah, we're right beside Camden.
Oof.
So my mom and dad said, "Hey, let's get the hell out of here."
Smart thinking.
Well, but then we moved here, and we didn't really know the neighborhood, so we moved to another part of town that, again, it was, you know, it was, we didn't have a ton of money. We didn't, you know, we were just starting out. So like, I feel like I have a value, you know, like, I mean, the money that I do have, like I just bought a new car, but it's like, I've never had a new car. Like,
yeah,
you know,
man.
I've never had a car that had less than 100,000 miles on it. So like when I got in, and my girlfriend's the same way, you know, she you know, grew up, she drove me by her neighborhood the other day, and it was just, it wasn't the greatest. And she's hustled to get, you know, where she's at now. Not saying we're rich, but like she bought a new car the other day too, and the guy was like, "Here's your odometer, you know, and your trip, and it's got 7 miles on it." And she said, "Oh, 7 miles on the trip, you know?" No, 7 miles total on the car. And she's like, "What? What
yeah,
the
man,
fuck?"
I share that mystique. I've never to this day. I have never. That's insane. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, but I think like just sitting here chatting with you and then chatting with you off air, like. You have this humble, like, just educated, I don't know, but there's a mind about you. I'm fucking amazed, like,
oh, thank you, man.
Hanging out with you just in this short amount of time. I mean, you went to college, too, right? You went to Berkeley?
Yeah, I did. I went to Berkeley in Boston. Yeah.
You can't just walk in the doors there. You have to
That's
almost
what they say, yeah.
audition to get in. I mean,
I did audition to get in. Actually, I auditioned to get in by playing a song that I had written with my high school band.
Nice.
Yeah, and I got a scholarship to go there. And
why not just say, just screw it, I'll go continue my music career instead of go to college?
Well, I guess once I found out that you could look, all through high school, I was writing songs in class anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and like I thought that I was gonna be with that band forever. You know, I'm like those are still my family, so I thought that was what I was gonna do. I was gonna be a punk rock band lead singer.
Right.
And you know, as life would have it, you just get pushed in the right direction, and my teachers were always telling me, like, you're not going to get into college if you like keep writing in class, and I would get in trouble sometimes for it. And wouldn't you know that that's exactly how I ended up getting into college.
But isn't it funny? It's funny how that works, because I would always get in trouble for talking in class.
And now that's all you do.
That's I have a career now doing that. So isn't it kind of like weird how, you know, these teachers,
how
like,
wrong these teachers
right?
are?
I got sent to the principal's office like first grade, and it was for talking too much in class. And my mom, like,
first grade.
First grade. Jesus. I mean, that's how young I started. I was that annoying at 6 years old. And but now, I mean, now she kind of looks at it, and my parents look at it like, okay, he did something with it, you know, kind of the same with you. Like, you went to...
It was just who you always were, and you figured out what it was that worked for you. I mean, I feel like life is really good if you look at the signs of showing you where you're headed before you get there.
Did you graduate? You graduated Berkeley? You got all...
Oh, no, I left after two years, yeah.
What was the reason for just because your career was taken off?
I mean, you could kind of say that. It wasn't really... So my second year at Berkeley, Glee was the biggest thing on the planet.
Okay.
In the moment, and
they had Fox's hit show, yeah.
Yeah, and they had a spin-off show that they were doing called the Glee Project, which was to find the next kid. It was like the American Idol, but to find the next Glee cast member.
Gotcha.
And everyone in my school was doing it because you took opportunities that arrive for any kind of musician. You know, there's no guarantee, even if you go to a school like Berkeley, like the best that you could hope for is that somebody that you made friends with at Berkeley, unless you were that person, skyrockets. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you can attach yourself to them. But no, I I wasn't going to do it because I had no interest in Glee, to be honest. I'd never watched an episode. And my mom called me like the last day that you could do this audition online where you just post up a video. And she's like, oh, just do it, whatever, you know. And I did Kanye West Gold Digger because it was one of the options of songs to do. And it was the only one that I knew I could do.
Right.
Because the rest were like Katy Perry and Bruno Mars songs. Right. And then I got onto the show. I flew to L.A. in the middle of one of the semesters where they brought like, I don't know, 150 finalists or something like that. And then they kept cutting it down. And then they sent a bunch of us home. And then the casting director of Glee FaceTimed us and would tell us if we made it on the show or not, and I did. And I was one of 12 people to get onto the Glee project, and I was like,
even though you really didn't
crap.
want this, you knew, hey, this is going to kind of help my career.
I wanted the opportunity because I didn't know what I wanted yet. I didn't know I was Bryce Vine, the artist that just writes whatever he wants to write. Like
right.
I was still trying to figure it out, man. When I was at Berkeley, I called my mom 2 months in, and I was like, I think they made a mistake because I was so insecure. I went from being a medium fish in a small pond to a really small fish in a big pond.
Right.
You know, so
which is a scary thing. I mean,
dude, it's terrifying. It's terrifying, man. Especially if you have any kind of sense, you know, and you realize like you don't match up vocally to 90% of the people that you're around every day. And I went into the gospel ensemble, and the teacher pretty much only let me in because he knew I wanted to figure out my place, you know.
Right.
But then that was even you're around the greatest singers. The gospel singers they're on a different level, and the passion that they put into their vocal, I think, helped me like just learn that and understand that where that was coming from, because I was never a religious person, but I understood it from the musical perspective more than I understood it just from the religious perspective.
Talking about your song, Drew Barrymore, Julia Michaels kind of helped out with this.
Yeah.
What was her role? Did she write the whole song? Did she write some of it?
No. So I had started this beat for Drew Barrymore maybe last summer, and I wrote all the verses because I had the idea of what I was trying to talk about. I was just trying to talk about a special kind of person that just fills in your gaps, like Rocky says. Like, she got gaps, I got gaps.
Right.
I was just trying to talk about a special kind of person without focusing so much on physical appearances, which actually turned out to be hard because all my references were like Bruno Mars was like, you're beautiful just the way you are. And then he goes to talk about her eyes. And it's like, oh. So it was actually really difficult. I just didn't have a hook for the song for a while. Right. I just didn't know what it was. I went into different sessions trying to figure it out.
So you had everything else written.
I had everything else written. I had produced the song. I just didn't have a hook for it yet. So Julia had written me this hook because she was an early believer like 3 years ago.
And she had never heard this song, the song that you had created other than the hook.
No. She didn't hear it until it was done. And I had to be like, hey, is it okay if I put this out with, I'll give you percentage.
Right.
And she was more than happy. She sends me every day now. She sends me like where the song is charting and stuff because I never check.
That's what you got that guy for there in the corner.
Yeah. I like not checking, but she gets excited about it because she has so many songs charting all the time.
Right.
But yeah, no. So she had this idea for Drew Barrymore for over like a really melancholy beat like 3 years before it, and I just never did anything with it. So I just took that melody and concept and I just put it over that, and it worked perfectly because even Drew Barrymore is the kind of person. She's a good example of the kind of person I was talking about because she's cute, she's kind of badass, she's got a quality about her, she's iconic. If you've seen The Wedding Singer, then you had a crush on her at one point.
My God.
You know what I mean?
Oy vey. Even today, she's just,
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I would.
I mean,
would.
Okay, so Drew Barrymore is the song. I love how the hook is kind of split up.
Drew Barry and I want more.
Was that Julia Michaels as well, or was that kind of you taking that?
Oh yeah, I would have never thought of something like that. I don't think.
Did you think that was like the holy shit? That's the most creative thing. I mean,
No, I mean, like I said, I didn't even use it when I first heard it. I thought it was clever, but I didn't have anything to use it with. I don't know what it is and what I gravitate towards sometimes, because I like so much stuff that was the first time I'd ever even taken something someone else had written, and like used it and saw if it worked. Like most of the time I completely, like before maybe a year ago, I only wrote everything by myself. And now I like work with a couple writers that I like and trust and stuff like that. But like I said, man, I'm so involved that sometimes it is like to a fault.
Well, it's funny how like that it just fit perfectly. You know, you had everything else but that, and it's almost like someone could hand you like the hook, and you're like, this isn't going to work at all. It's almost like you wrote that whole thing. And nobody, you know, or she heard all of it and then said, "Oh, I'm going to write just this line."
I know it worked so well that it seems like it was meant to be. And trust me, since that worked so well, I've gone back on other songs that I never finished and like tried to find parts and see if they work for other things and stuff like that. You know, it's a good way to cut and paste to find if a song works. Songs that I've written, but still melodies and things that I just didn't use.
I'm being told by your guy I got 5 minutes here.
Okay.
You're rushing me. What's happening? This is like a Howard Stern interview.
But this
What's
is
happening?
great, man. No, I mean, you're so easy to talk to. So
I appreciate it, man. That means a lot. Well, I mean, Max, I mean, we literally, it was supposed to be 10 minutes, and we did an hour and 10.
Really?
And it just was I don't know, we got into like the groove of things and just kind of happened. Just a few more things. I'll wrap you up. We'll go upstairs and just, you know, hang out with my boss.
I'm in no rush.
Jeremy's over here. I mean, he's hungry. You know, come on, Jeremy.
Yeah,
we're gonna drop this record because you're rushing me. Okay? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Have you talked to Drew Barrymore about? I mean,
not lately. No, never.
But I mean, have you talked to her about the song?
No.
You don't know if she knows that.
I'm sure she's heard it. I'm sure she's heard SZA's version too.
One other artist that you kind of got a Christmas present from is T Swift. She mentioned you on some list or something.
Yeah, her favorite songs list, like way before the song was popping too, which was huge because she's one of those people that I admire as a real artist. You know, she writes her stuff. She's clearly involved in her whole process and has been in music since she was very young. Also,
talented.
You know, she's the exact kind of person that you want acknowledgement from when you're working towards a craft like this. And that was a huge deal. I was like, all right, cool, we're on the right track if T Swift is down.
Have you talked to her either about any of that?
Nah, but if you got her number, I'll take it.
My boss might. I don't have those kind of connections, but
I don't know a lot. Like I've had the same friends since I was like 13 years old, the same manager since I started doing this. I met my producer in college and my DJ. I don't know a lot of like clout people just because they have clout, you know? Like I don't have a lot of connections like that either, which has actually become kind of a hindrance at this point because when you want to like release a song and have all these cool people talk about it, you just have to let them do it naturally, which is why especially you appreciate when someone as big as Taylor Swift finds your song, you know.
Is there anybody you want to work with in the future?
Oh hell yeah.
Anybody that you would just be starstruck as to be like, holy crap, I can't believe this is happening?
Maybe not starstruck, but like I want to pick the brain of Childish Gambino and know how he does so much and how he's so good at so many things all the time. I mean, from Atlanta to I've been a fan of his since he had like a little comedy sketch on YouTube called Derek Comedy.
I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
man.
Because it was before his. Wasn't it before the TV show? Community.
Yeah, it was before that.
Yeah,
it was before that.
What was the song he had before this one?
3005.
Jeremy, what's the song that Childish Gambino had? The radio hit. Dude.
Oh, that.
When I heard Redbone, I mean, it was blown away. And then of course now you've got This Is America, which.
Yeah, he has no limit. That's the kind of brain you want to pick as an artist. You know?
That's whereas you want to pick him as an artist, I'd want to sit him down and
that's your excitement over it. Yeah,
because the music video that This Is America,
it's beautiful, isn't it?
It's 100%. It's exactly what America has turned into.
Yeah,
you know, and it's sad, but the fact that he can like take just this idea and then turn it into this song, which I think now is like not even just on pop and hip hop stations, but now like alt rock stations are playing it.
Is it really?
Yeah, like
he crossed that barrier, man. And what did he? I mean, it's not even. That's what I mean. Those are the kind of people like when you ask him what his genre is, I'll bet you he looks at you like, "What are you talking about?"
And that's like, and I asked that question in the beginning to you, and I guess like. In radio, we just define it as like, oh, Julia Michaels pop, you know, Taylor Swift pop, you know,
anything that people listen to, really.
Yeah, but but again with you and just wrapping this up, I mean, you know, I feel like you have just this wide range where you can, again, the rock song I was telling you about, the Thug Life. What is? Oh,
the Thug song.
Thug song. Yeah, I had it right the first time. Just listening to that whole song under that rock beat was amazing, and then turning around and hearing the Drew Barrymore record. I'm believing in you.
Thanks, man.
I think you got a huge career ahead of you, man. And Bryce Vine at Bryce Vine, BRYCE Vine on Twitter and Instagram. Bryce, thanks for stopping by.
Dude, thanks for having me. For real.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it, man.
It's been a blast. I could do this all day if Jeremy would let me.
Yeah, Jeremy.
I mean, sorry, he's got shows
Yeah.
tonight.
I mean,
that's true. I
where
do
do
have a
you
show
guys have
tonight.
to be? Come on.
Don't need no bottle, purple color lip gloss, room at the Saguaro. Ain't nowhere I would rather be. Right between your holidays, coffee on the Flintstones, jewelry on the Ottoman.